Welcome to New Game Plus. We are a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game, and then we talk about it. My name is Dustin.
My name's Kenny.
My name is Nolan.
And this is episode 72, and today we have a very special guest that is joining us to talk about the retro game Athena. But before we talk about, we're already laughing. Before we talk about the game, we'd love to introduce you viewers to our new friend and our special guest, Brossentia.
Hey, hello everybody. Yeah, I'm Brossentia.
Would you mind introducing yourself? Tell them just a little bit about you.
I guess.
Action games, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Brossentia. Biggest thing with the gaming community is I've been doing speedruns since, when was it? It was from the first SGDQ, about 2011. Wow. I was living in my sister's house because I was a poor college graduate, and and then she's like, "We're having a marathon here," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Do you want to play games?" And I was like, "Sure." And then they just sort of wrap me up, you know. So first I started out pretty much with normal games, but shortly after we had this bad game exchange. I gave someone the gift of the Wizard of Oz, good old Dragon Dark, and he gave me Athena, and we had to learn how to speedrun these games. So that's Athena's coming up. That's sort of my experience with it. Personally, I also do a comedy improv. I had a show last night. It was tons of fun. I do speed runs. I do bad game streams all the time. So that's more or less who I am.
I love it. That's a wide array of things that you do. I hope that we see all of that today as a part of this podcast, though.
Some improv.
Yeah, we're going to put you on the spot and make sure that you're funny.
Please,
or
no.
else.
No. In-person improv is terrible. Bad idea, Kenny.
All right. We'll stick to the game.
All right, so Mr. Sentia, I may or may not have prepared a series of rapid-fire questions to ask you. They are invasive, they are probing, and they are relatively unrelated to both one another and to this podcast. Are you down for the challenge?
I can deal with it, I guess.
All right, let's move as quick as possible. Pick one. Imgur. Oh gosh, Pick one. Imgur or Reddit.
I always call it Imgur, but it's Imager. But yes, I would choose that.
Okay, double thank you. We have this argument all the time.
Chocobos or Moogles?
Oh, geez. Chocobos are cooler. Moogles got really awkward in the later games.
When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A computer programmer, but instead I went into English. So, I don't know.
What was the best show on Nickelodeon?
Oh, geez. It has to be Doug.
That's funny.
The sweater vest was just great.
Yeah.
In the past 2 weeks, you have spent multiple hours playing Tabletop Simulator on Steam. So I've got to ask, is it Blackjack, Texas Hold'em, Roulette? What game have you been playing?
Oh, I'm trying to remember the game. It's you know the creator of Adventure Time. He made this card game.
Really?
Where you create these random spells and cast them. Do you know what it's called?
I have no idea.
And I only played it for 2 hours, multiple hours here. Yeah. So go look up Adventure Time, dude. He made a card game that I don't know what it's called.
Hey, that's fine. Speaking of tabletop games, what is currently your favorite board game?
It has to be Mansions of Madness. We've got 2nd edition. It works extremely well with the app that you have either on a tablet or Steam. Simply put, Mansions of Madness, fantastic.
If not English, what is your dream job?
My dream job? I love to entertain people, frankly. If I could make money actually doing improv or some sort of comedy or even just streaming, I love that because, I don't know, I just love to watch people laugh and hear them have fun.
Love it. Are you usually late, early, or right on time?
Right on time.
Would you rather have lunch with Gandalf the Grey or dinner with Severus Snape?
That's not fair.
Oh, jeez. The thing is, I already feel like I know a lot about Gandalf. I'd go with Severus. I'd have a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah. Favorite video game genre?
Bad.
Well, bad, but honestly, I probably play more RPGs casually on my own.
Yes. What's a food that most people like but you dislike?
Macaroni and cheese.
What?
Easily. Well, no, I know, right? I know. Like, if you've got bacon, then fantastic.
Okay.
Like, if it's homemade, then I can deal with it. But Kraft mac and cheese pretty much makes me sick.
Oh, I'm
every
with
time
you
I
on
think-
that. Kraft is
And
weak.
for the record, putting bacon in things fixes almost anything.
Yeah,
True.
except, like, bananas. I don't know, bananas and bacon.
Ice cream.
I didn't
Finally, who is, and I hope that you get this one right, your favorite mythological god or goddess?
Oh, jeez. I would probably lean towards Bacchus, but hey, we're talking about Athena today.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Caught the segue.
Congratulations. Round of applause for Brossentia. You aced the quiz. It is an honor to have you join us on this show. And without further ado, since you brought up, let's just go ahead and talk about the retro game of the week, Athena.
Yeah, thank you. Putting the blame on me already.
Don't worry, people are used to Dustin's really, really terrible segues into our game.
great.
So you're fitting right in.
Oh,
So
come on,
Athena-
Dustin.
Athena is a video game that originally came out as an arcade title in 1986.
Mhm.
That makes it close to 30, or no, exactly 30 years old now. Math is crazy. It's already 2016.
It's
Wait,
an old game.
Wow, Kenny.
is it
Yeah.
2017?
Kenny doesn't even know what year it
Yes.
is.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
it's
year it is.
2017,
February
man.
has snuck up on me. It is 31 years old.
'Cause
depending
February's
on
the
when it
first
came in
month.
Cycle. Irrelevant. It was ported eventually to the NES and a number of other systems. We played the NES version of the game this week, and is I guess it is a platforming game. Has definitely a lot of the vibes of its original arcade roots, but also has lots of kind of RPG elements, which is actually a little bit unique. You sometimes will get games that will let you collect items or some of those kind of things, but that plays a very, very big role in this game. You're collecting armor, headpieces, shields, weapons, wings, rings,
Stuff
money,
you don't know what it does.
stuff that you don't even know what it does, and then
Stuff
your
that you
screen
can't
flash
tell.
is weird, and you're hitting buttons, and you have no idea
Yeah.
what's going on, because this game is wacky and not like any other game I've ever played before.
Yeah, that's about right.
Sums it up, kind of just sort of chaotic. Story
Yeah, there-
starts. Go ahead.
Oh, there's just a lot going on, you know. And whenever you're playing, especially when you get to the third or fourth or fifth area, there are just items, as you guys were critiquing earlier this week, items galore. And, you know, some are great. A lot of them just end up being terrible and, like, completely ruining your life. Yeah, that's Athena.
Yeah.
Terrible and completely ruining your life. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, put the quote up on
that-
the wall there.
We'll find out just how everybody really felt about this game as we get through it. But to give you some context, story-wise, Athena is a princess who is quite spoiled and bored, and so she decides to, look for an adventure. Finds
Sure.
a door
As you
that
do.
is never supposed to be opened.
Mhm.
Walks through that door, falls down to another fantasy universe. On the way, as she's
Loses
falling, she
her clothes.
falls out of her dress.
As you do.
And so you start this game as a princess in her skivvies with the ability to do nothing but kick stuff in a world that you don't know what it is, and you run around kicking things and collecting things and fighting your way back to justice.
Let me ask you, how many doors did you see when playing this game?
Yeah, you're supposed to get all that story that Kenny just laid out in 2 seconds of her walking in a
Oh
hallway.
no, that's complete like backstory.
I know, but
based
like,
on-
it's just
Yeah.
funny that there's
But
actual
after
plot
that,
there.
there's no more door. Like, as
Oh,
far
no.
as I know, there's no more doors.
You
No,
just
no,
walk
not at
into a
all.
little
It's
enclosed
a big
area.
role.
I don't
And
think you
I-
even see a door on the first screen.
No.
Like,
No.
there are no doors.
No, it's just all kind of like precursor to the actual game itself.
Forget the cake, the door is a lie.
And this isn't Athena from Greek mythology, right? Like it's just a girl named after.
I think inspired
Yeah,
by
it's
that,
not-
but it's not supposed to be her.
Okay.
It's not technically the same Athena, like even though it is in a mythological world and
Right.
the enemies are named after it's not her.
Okay. Okay. Which, by the way, the amount of time that we've spent on this, on talking about story, is really a lot more than the game itself gives it. So,
Yeah, you pretty much just jump into the game. That's all
Yeah.
sort of like known backstory from, I don't know, booklets that came with the game, or that the arcade tells you more than the NES version does. You really just start on a screen in a wonky looking world with this girl in a bikini and bright purple hair, and you gotta just run around and fight enemies that just like chase you incessantly and have really terrible AI. And I mean, that's the game in a nutshell.
Pretty much. Just so you know, the arcade version actually does have doors.
Oh, very nice.
Oh.
So,
Upgrade.
yeah, and when you get to the end of the level, a door appears. Whereas in this one, you just sort of jump into space and then disappear.
They're
I
like
was
doors are
wondering about
overrated.
Yeah, you
Right.
sort of go into that area, and then it just goes. One of the many places where I feel like part of what made this game as notorious as it is that the port wasn't done especially well. I feel like people who played the arcade tend to be like, kind of interesting good. People who play the video game tend to be like, kind of interesting bad. I don't know. And maybe I'm overgeneralizing things I've seen.
I think you're being too kind on the arcade version because you haven't played it.
That's
Oh, you
fair.
played it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I've played the arcade version. I prefer the Nintendo version.
Really?
Let's just say.
So
Wow.
I've got to ask, because I had never played this game, nor had I even heard of it. I'm assuming that's the same for Nolan and Kenny.
Yeah, I was completely in the dark.
Yeah, you say notorious. It's bad, but
The
I've never
fir-
played it in my life. Never heard of it in my life.
The first thing I knew about this game was when we pulled it last week, and somebody put a screenshot in Discord of that opening menu, and had it's her face and like the top half of her, and I'm like,
She's
what
winking.
is this game gonna be? It is weird, man.
So Brossentia, you mentioned earlier just a little bit of kind of like an early experience with it. How in the world did you find this game? What was your connection to it? Why do you have a relationship with it? Can you just expand there?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we, on the Speed Demos Archive forums, we had this bad game exchange. PJ, if you know him, he plays a lot of bad games. He did Batman Forever at AGDQ along with Clage. Anyways, he put together this bad game exchange where you had to beat a game and then send it to someone else. And I decided I'm going to be evil. I'll send the Wizard of Oz. And I got Athena in the mail. And I was like, what is this? And I started playing it, and the thing is, I really wanted to beat it without using any manuals, without using any guides. But the more you get into it, the more you realize how much it just destroys you internally. It took me about a year to finally beat it, and I actually did have to end up using guides because there was just no way to do it any other way.
Yeah.
So a full year of playing it is when I was finally able to just beat it. After that, after playing it that long, I sort of had a good route for speed running. And there were times where I'd play it about 6 hours straight just trying to get a record for that. And
Wow.
it paid off, I guess.
I paid off. I would lose my mind, I feel like, trying to map out and beat this game, I guess. And we'll talk about it in gameplay, which we're about to move into that section. But
Yeah.
I've got to applaud you for having the resolve to complete this game.
That is tenacity.
Oh my goodness. So let's move into the gameplay section, because I would like to hear how we fared with the game this week, and then how you overcame kind of that initial experience with the game and said, you know what, this is a game worth figuring out how to complete very fast.
I don't know if it was, but
I think
Sure, let's
anything
go
that by
to
the
it.
time you're done with, you can claim that you have a world record in doing faster than anyone else.
I only have that because nobody else wants to play it, okay? Like,
There's something to be
seriously.
said for that. There's lots of world records that are like, no one else is willing to do this, so you get the title. And that's totally legitimate.
So
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll start with my gameplay experience.
All right.
Went into it with fear because of what Brossentia was telling us and what his viewers were telling us. I knew something bad was going to happen. So I get to playing, and within the first few seconds, I get this really, really great weapon. And then the rest of my experience playing the game is avoiding worse weapons. So they give you, it's the most frustrating thing. They give you this awesome weapon, and then it's like, don't pick up anything else until you get like what the beam sword's probably the best. I don't know what the best one is.
What weapon are you talking about?
The ball
What
and
did you
chain
get?
thing.
Ball
you
and
like that
chain,
one?
yeah.
I like that
definitely.
one because you can stay kind of far away. I mean, the hitbox is bad on it, but anyways, I was dodging things that you're supposed to pick up more than I was like doing other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such
Yeah.
a frustrating addition to a platformer because usually it's the other way around.
Right.
It is,
You
and,
want,
and most of the time when you add that variety of like weapons and things, in my mind, interest just goes way up.
Yeah.
I love being able to customize my character, to figure out what I'm picking up, why, when, the constant dilemma in games like Contra of, which guns do you grab and when and why and what's your favorite. It tends to add so much value in my mind to a game. And this had some of that.
But-
But then there was the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's like, well, weapons just fall all over the place. And I think when it's a very first playthrough, it's like, okay, I want to learn what all of these do, how they help me. And then you
Sure.
realize pretty much all of these are useless. And unfortunately, it's Ghost and Goblins rules where if you pick up a weapon, previous weapon is gone.
Yeah.
So there's no way of going back. So weapons, like, if a crappy weapon just drops in front of you, you have to wait for it to disappear. Otherwise, there's a chance that you can't even beat the game. You might get
Yeah.
soft-locked right there just because there's a brick wall you have to break and you picked up a sword and you can't do it anymore.
You can't
Yeah.
break a brick wall with a sword.
and
That's
so
the
what's,
thing.
what's unbelievable is that some of these weapons can't accomplish what you need to do to get past certain points. So you have to switch around the weapons. But how in the world are you supposed to know without just trial and error? And not only that, sometimes you have to face bosses that can only be beaten by one weapon, and there is nothing in the dang stage that tells you that that's the situation or the case. You just you have to either magically know it, you have to look up a guide, or Brossentia has to laugh at you, feel pity on you, and then tell you.
I can
Oh,
imagine
I
that makes
offered.
speed running impossible. I mean, it's not because you've done it, but like you're in a
Much
run
more
and
difficult.
you're on pace, and then oops, I picked up this
picked up-
crappy shovel. What now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's when you hit reset. As
Look-
soon as you get a crappy pickup.
Let me ask
Yeah.
this, Brossentia. Do the items and weapons spawn in the same locations? I know they don't necessarily from the same enemies, I don't think, because in one play at the first stage in the World of Force, I got the pink beating stick followed right away by the blue beating stick. But other times, sometimes he doesn't drop the blue beating stick.
Yeah, enemy drops are random.
Okay.
You'll usually get the same set of items from enemies. However, weapons in blocks and other items in blocks are always going to be the same. So if, at times you have to rely on enemy drops, but usually you want to do that at a time when you have like a billion enemies coming at you and you can just slaughter them all and hope that you get a drop that you want. Otherwise, planning it out with where the blocks are and picking up the right items in the blocks is the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so correct me if I'm wrong. There
Go ahead.
are only 3 stages in this game, right?
No.
Okay, so I thought there was
For
only
most
3.
people,
For
it's
most
kind of like
people, yeah.
Battletoads. Yeah. A lot of people don't see me on stage 2, maybe 3.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So there are 8 worlds. No, I think that's more correct, around there. And the difficulty increases very rapidly. So you're probably going to get through the first stage. It might take you
Eventually.
just a little bit, but a relatively easy introduction to the game Athena. And then the second stage immediately is just difficult. One of you guys mentioned it, but enemies don't stop running at you, and there's no end to their spawning that I know of. And
There's no hit stun either, so you can get comboed to death easily.
Yeah, and I don't think that you can, after you go past a certain point, kind of like in some of the Marios, you can't go back, and so it's not like you can escape these incessant pool of enemies that are just coming after you, trying to murder you.
Yep. It only scrolls to the right. Enemies just come after you like none other. And when you get to level 2, it almost becomes a puzzle platformer, is what I'd say. Because the easiest way to get through there is just as soon as you can. Okay, this is stupid, but Athena has 2 different levels for every every level. There's the upper and lower, and once you figure that out, it helps because there are a lot of pits that you can fall down in the lower one that take you to the beginning of the stage for some reason. Who knows why? It treats it as a death, but you don't actually die. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, you jump down to the lower level. There's a set of wings hidden in a block. Pick that up. As long as you don't take enough damage, you can keep those and fly through part of the stage, and that's the easiest way to get through.
Yeah,
wings are amazing.
Wings are saviors.
Okay, what about
especially in speedrunning, I guess, because you can pretty successfully, at least in a couple of the stages, avoid the enemies for the most part.
Well,
there's flying enemies. There's enemies that
Yeah, I was going to say it becomes most useful in World of Sky, but at that point they're flying enemies. They're the stupid heads that float around and just I don't know, ruin your day. And then the game forces you through different tunnels so that they don't really help. They just help you get across pits and get across locations where you absolutely have to have them.
Okay, can you explain jump heights?
Please.
I've tested it a long time.
Right.
Inputs, quick press, long press, and I jump at random heights.
Please don't tell me it's just random. There has to be. You have to be able to control the height of the jump, right?
You can, and here's how. Okay, so yeah, the first time you play Athena, you're going to be like, why do I jump weird heights? But it's a cycle of 3. Short, long, tall, or short, high, short,
Sure,
high,
it would be. Because that makes sense.
However, it resets after a little time, so if you do 2 jumps, short, tall, and then wait a little while, it'll go back to short.
Okay.
So it's really easy to not realize that that's what it's doing. It took me a long time to figure that out. But yeah, cycle of 3. And so you have to have a jump plan when you're going through the game.
That's even more impressive. That makes the speedrun even more unbelievable.
It does. Once again, that's one of the things where the developers are sitting at a table and they're like, "Hey, let's give her a short jump and a high jump. Hey, you know what? Let's put 1 extra high jump in there just for kicks and giggles." Like I don't know why.
Why not just have it correspond with how long you push the button?
Absolutely. Right. Or a double jump where it's a normal jump, but then you have to add some skill or anything that makes sense.
Yeah.
The short into long just randomly. And how much that can have an impact on your game was a terrible
that's too easy.
Yeah. So we've talked about it, multiple weapons, multiple everything. There are, I went back and counted afterwards. I found a list online. There are 13 weapons, 9 pieces of armor, 29 items that almost every single one of them are missable, and some of them you have to complete the game. Now, let's go back to the weapons, because I said 13, and if you've played this game, you might have an argument with me, because I'm including the upgrades. I think there is a standard set of weapons, and then they can be upgraded. So what I ended up using the most and actually loved, I had no idea what it was, but after looking online after the fact, was this magical frisbee. That's not what they call it, but I think it was the upgraded magic cane that threw a color frisbee and would keep going until it exits the stage and then blow up all the blocks that it touches. That was what I used most and absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm. Beam sword all the way.
Beam sword,
yeah,
really?
Beam sword is my favorite.
Really?
The yo-yo, ball and chain, whatever you want to call it, would be second.
I couldn't do the ball and chain because anytime enemies would get close to me, it just would not hit them.
The way you do it, okay? The way that you have to do it is you jump and attack pretty much right at the same time. That way you don't lose your horizontal momentum, and usually it seems like the ball and chain has a little bit of a hitbox behind you as well. So a lot of the times enemies will die. So
Yeah.
timing, timing's everything.
Okay.
Kenny, preferable weapon?
Probably the big like flaming sword. Is that what you're talking about with the beam sword, Nolan?
Yeah, the beam travels across the whole
no,
stage.
yeah, that one, the one that shoots. No, I like the big red one that just makes you feel like a boss and is huge.
But what happens if you use it too much, Kenny?
Oh well, everything bad.
Wait, what do you mean?
Bleeds, right?
Because
what?
every swing you lose 1 health.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It costs you. Yeah.
Yeah, it
But-
costs you.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting from a like design point as an idea, but totally not worth it in this game. Now, it's really satisfying though if you happen to get it and there's a huge chunk of blocks to just go through and like demolish those blocks. Because normally going through and swinging your little like hammer or whatever it is, the little blue thing you get, and just slowly pounding through those is so frustrating.
Yeah. If you
Yeah,
have the wings and there's like a lot of blocks, it's really fast to go underneath it and like just jump and like knock them out like Mario instead of swinging at them. You know what I mean?
You can do that too.
Yeah. I mean that's rarely.
Although even that that'll even ruin your helmet, won't it? If you're hitting the blocks with your head enough times.
Although enemies can remove your armor upgrades when they run into you, unless you collect what are called the mirrors, because those lower the probability that enemies will downgrade you.
Right.
Wow.
The mirrors are one of those.
In this game.
Is that even a mechanic or is that just an accident?
No, they did that on
Feels
purpose.
like both.
Here's the deal. I'm telling you, I love the idea of this game. Like when you're talking about all the things that can happen, like you got to collect these items and learn this stuff, and if you use one weapon, it happens at certain cost. And even like the idea of sort of making a game that feels more like an RPG, but is sort of platformed based, is super intriguing to me.
Yeah.
But despite all of that, this game was absolutely nuts, and I couldn't handle it.
So I agree. There are so many good things. I love the armor upgrades that visually you can see you go from green armor to blue armor to gold armor.
Yes.
Like you and not just one piece of armor. We're talking about head and chest and boots,
Shoulders,
Shields
knees,
as
and
well,
shields.
yeah.
like I mean that's awesome. And you can even have different colored pieces, like and you can tell this one's better than the previous one, and so that's really cool. Even the multiple different weapons that you can use, like a lot of these ideas are intriguing and do sound good, but there's something about this game that, and sure it's the difficulty level, but part of it is just the way that they created it that just makes it it's incompatible or I don't know how to wrap my mind around it from just a week of play. But I'll submit this, but like the boss battles are so gimmicky. Like I feel like every single one of them, to successfully win, you have to gimmick. Like the tree in the first stage, can you beat it without a long range weapon?
Oh no, I had to have the
you're
arrow.
doing a speed run.
You do?
Yeah. I saw that. So you get behind
What do
him,
you use?
right?
I use the ball and chain.
Okay.
So the way that you do it, and this is pretty much the only way, it's very important to note, as you guys said, there are no invincibility periods except when you are swinging a weapon. So what you do is you charge the tree, he's flailing his limbs, blah, 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 and you jump and attack at the right time, because that allows you to get forward momentum while being invincible through his limbs. Then you just stand right in front of his face and whack him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
smart.
it's like one hit from the ball and chain, like literally one hit.
Oh wow.
And then the octopus, you kind of like glitch into the floor behind him?
Yeah.
There's a flying creature that if you can get behind, like a 3-headed dragon, that he can't hit you at all. Is that?
Oh, that guy's easy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But like
literally,
it's,
he just shoots forward on one side of the screen, and you can get behind him, and like he doesn't turn around and attack you.
Yeah.
You just Whack, whack, whack.
But they're still
Like,
hard if
the
you don't know
bosses are
those
just-
things.
Yeah, no, they're terrible. Oh, absolutely.
I think that it comes down to, for me, that within the game, outside of some of those things where they could have changed some of the mechanics of the bosses and stuff, I think what it comes down to is games are good when somehow they explain within the game itself what to do and how to do. And I feel like this game just places you in a world and is like, good luck.
Yeah.
You have no, and I don't want anything to hold my hand. I'm not asking that, but I want some kind of explanation. I want some kind of
stuff is required.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's like, you need to have this to progress. The fact that you have a game that you can literally have a moment where if you do something wrong, you just can't progress anymore. You find yourself with a weapon against a wall and you can't break the wall and game over, but without dying, is just terrible, terrible design.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about the biggest BS because I think that it would shock you.
Oh, great. What is it?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Well, I mean, you know some of the BS. So stage 5, World of Ice, you get there. What weapon do you have to use to kill the boss?
Yeah. The bow and arrow. I don't even want to talk about it. This is the most maddening thing. Is that the right one? Are we talking about the same stage?
Yeah. You're on the right stage there.
This is the one that ended me. Even after I found out. So there's nothing that would tell you that, right?
Nothing
In the game.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
And so even after, so I tried to fight this boss so many times, and there's no damage indicator on these bosses.
On anything
so-
in the game.
So you don't know if you're doing damage, and so I just assume I'm doing damage. About 15-20 minutes later, I'm like, I don't think this is working, and so I started the stage over thinking, okay, weird glitch, I'm playing Athena. I get to the boss again, and it doesn't work. I look up later, find out only the bow and arrow for some reason kills this creature, but the thing that is unbelievable is to get to this creature, you have to, at least a little bit before, you have to break blocks, which you cannot do with a bow and arrow. And so even if you manage to keep a bow and arrow up until the point of trying to get to the boss, then you are stuck because you cannot get to him. So
what's the solution?
Bro?
After you break through the blocks, there is a block extremely high up that if you break through it, there's a bow and arrow there. So right before the boss, there is a bow and arrow.
Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah, I know, right? But that's not the biggest BS. Okay.
Okay. What is it?
That boss drops what's called Pandora's box, which you wouldn't know just looking at it. We always called it the tackle box, like you were going fishing and you grab the tackle box. Next stage is terrible because if you fall at all, you go into a river section, and it's literally impossible to get out of there. You have to die if you fall in there. The river Styx is what they call it, because it's the world of hell. But if you die, what happens to all your items?
You lose them.
You lose them, yes. So when you get to the boss, you have to have the Pandora's box in order to beat him. However, if you die, you lose it. And so at that point, you have to reset the game.
Literally,
The entire
this game is unbeatable.
Oh,
Yes,
and
it's unbeatable at that time.
by that
But I
time,
don't even know if that's the biggest BS because then there's a key that you have to pick up that takes you to a place that's called the World of Labyrinth. You go through there, and at that point, the game, of course, doesn't tell you. You have to find this harp. However, there's also a fake harp in that stage. So you have to find the right harp, not the evil harp. Otherwise, you can go through the upcoming boss rush. Yes, there's a boss rush, of course. And then get to the final boss and just not be able to deal any damage if you don't have the right harp.
but you know what's some extra BS? So the Pandora's box that drops.
Yes.
All the bosses before him drop crappy items
Yes.
that I picked up on accident.
Like
Okay,
the
so they
boss
train you to
drops
dodge-
really cool stuff.
They train you to dodge these crap items that drop, and then you need this item to beat the game.
Just to beat one boss.
To be
Can I just add one other thing? Because there's no inventory, right? Like you
No.
can't.
If you hit select, you can see your inventory.
oh, I didn't know.
Really, I hit select and it was just a black screen. So
Well, sometimes it's a black screen and sometimes it's your
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't know. It
Come
doesn't seem
on.
reliable.
does it have the item names in that inventory?
No, why would
well,
it?
So it just has the
Why would
images?
it?
Yes.
That's not going to help you.
You know what they're doing. Clearly, you can give them your own name.
Where's your
Right,
imagination?
thick and yellow pointy. And
Right. Like you don't go into your inventory and it says you need this item to beat this guy. It just has a picture.
It just has pictures
Yep.
of the items that you currently have.
No. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is the gameplay. This is how you play the game and what our experiences were with this game. Now I think it would be appropriate for us to actually talk about the agedness of this game. And with everything that we presented to you thus far, does it hold up to today's standards?
I want to
Okay.
hear your opinions. Go for
All
it,
right.
Nolan.
It's for me. It's not always does it hold up to today's standards. It's like, did I have fun? I mean, yes, I can compare it to advancements in game design. So I'm not going first.
Okay, well, I'll jump in. Noah has no idea his opinion on this game.
Yes, I do.
Thi-
I just don't know how to word it.
This game for me has been the biggest disparity yet of what we've played, of me wanting to like a game versus not being able to stand that game at all. There's lots of games we play and they're just bad or we don't like them for whatever reason. Like, I'll never touch a Jurassic Park title again, ever, among any number of other games that we played that are just bad. But this one, there were so many elements that intrigued me and I wanted it to be cool, and all those RPG elements, having to find a certain weapon is great if you're told that, if it's available. Having areas that you fall in and it's very bad for your character and you have to learn that's cool, but totally ruining your gameplay, not so much. Mechanically, you do some interesting things, but why weird 3 jumps? Why are the hitboxes the way that... There's just so many things that it's I want it to be good and it's not. And so it was really, really frustrating for me. In terms of how it aged, it's not great. The controls are sometimes frustrating, the mechanics are sometimes frustrating, the AI on the creatures is really hard to wrap your head around and deal with, and that's frustrating. So I don't know, but games are allowed to be frustrating.
Yeah, okay.
I was
Let me
just talking.
step in.
It feels retro. It feels like it ought to be good. But then it misses the mark on all of those fronts, and you pick it up and just want to bash your head into the wall, and that is not a timeless gaming experience.
I'm stepping in. Stop. So agedness is not about whether it's good or not. We're talking about age specifically here, and so
Well,
let me say. So music is not bad. For me, the music was not bad. Each stage has. Hold on. It was piercing. But my ears started bleeding when I first started listening. But each stage has a different theme, and it goes with with the concept of the stage. I don't know. I thought the music, after you get through how piercing it is, it's enjoyable. The stages were, for the most part, thoroughly different as far as I could tell. I only got about halfway through this game, so I don't know, but the stages and the coloring and the artwork are different. There are a slew of enemies, which is annoying and frustrating, but also that's well thought out. I mean, they each have their own unique look with their own unique amounts of health, and so all of those things, I feel like that ages well. But then, like you were saying, Kenny, the mechanics and the inner workings of this game are surprisingly bad. You'll be playing at times, and then pixels will just disappear. I think, and I wonder if you use this, Brossentia, in your speedruns, because I found that I was able to, and I don't even know what I did, but at times kind of despawn enemies from the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, and so some of that, and then the boss fights are obviously just not well thought out or planned. I'm with you, Kenny. There's a lot of promise to this game, and a lot of things that are this could be good, and then something just doesn't quite connect.
We see a lot of games where it's these developers weren't even trying and it's just bad. Here it feels like they swung for the fences. I feel like there was heart and love and soul put into this game, but they were drunk at the time or something. I don't know, because it was a swing, but a swing and a miss, and It's not like any other game I've ever played, and so I don't even know words.
I think it may have been a foul ball. Like I think they hit it. It was a swing, and they hit it, and it was a foul ball.
Like it was a foul ball that like hit somebody sitting there that was playing on their phone in the head, and they had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's the kind of game it is.
And it was a little girl, a little kid.
Wow.
Poor little kid.
Dark.
Oh,
What'd you get?
I mean,
All right, Nolan, straighten us out.
all of the above. It's frustrating, and when a game is that frustrating, I have to question its purpose in the beginning, like when it was even popular, if this was popular. But the year it came out, what were they thinking, making people go through this? So like, that's why it doesn't hold up for me, because I can't play it and find any enjoyment out of it. I agree with you. I think that this idea has a lot of potential, and it could have been something, maybe if it was made a few years later by different people. But yeah, it's just like the choices they made make this game impossible to... Actually, I can't say that because Brossentia might enjoy it. I mean, he speedruns it, but I can't enjoy the game, so it's just not...
You have to put that much time to even getting to that point, and so yeah, it's fair.
You got to be committed.
There, but for someone to like pick it up and just play it and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a great game,"
Sure, casually,
gonna be
it's
a
not
really fun.
doable. Yeah.
There was a reason that what got him into this game was, "Hey, here's a bad
Yeah.
game. Have fun dealing with it." You know?
That's true. That's true.
here are my thoughts on this. Okay, this was originally an arcade game, which I actually think the arcade game is more difficult. Once you learn the NES mechanics, you can deal with most of the BS that's thrown. But the thing is, the arcade game was actually fairly popular over in Japan. And what I'm guessing happened is that they're like, hey, here's a game that people enjoy playing. Let's go ahead and make a way for them to take it home. So they just took an idea that worked okay in the arcade, and we're like, let's try to cram all of this into a game that doesn't have as much memory, that just cannot fit enough. And there you go. So people who were taking this game home with them to play it, who knew the arcade game, would probably know most of how it works. But everybody else, it's not meant for somebody who has not played the arcade game, simply put. Yeah. And even people who played the arcade game would be like, this is kind of really crappy comparatively. So I would say that just the original intention of the game itself, the reason it exists, alone, it shows how terribly it's aged, because nobody has played the arcade game. Nobody would know the mechanics. Right. The music, I argue the music sucks, okay?
I'm in your camp on this one, too.
Especially World 3, okay? World of
SeaWorld?
Like,
World of Sea, sorry.
SeaWorld.
The worst,
yeah, it's
guys.
Shamu going through.
I can't listen. I cannot listen.
Water
to
levels
that
are
world.
always bad, and then you add terrible music on top of it, and you just want to like punch yourself.
Well,
in the face.
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm Kanye West and you. But you start the game. I took my headphones off.
Yeah, no, it hurt.
You should go listen to the arcade version now, okay? Like when you get the chance, because the music is so much better. Wow. They just took that music, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like they tweaked the Nintendo instruments at all. You can make it sound good on the Nintendo, but they didn't.
Right. Right. Let's move into our summary section, and let's see whether or not we give this game our vote for New Game Plus status.
Okay.
So, in our Twitch chat, self-destruct system actually said kind of what you were saying, Brossentia. Athena was super popular in Japan. The sequel, Athena, was #1 in 1987 polls, and she even had her own theme song. So, this connected to an audience, believe it or not.
I think she was in like later fighting games that were developed by SNK. Is that wrong?
There were 2 Athenas. SNK had 2 Athenas, like legit. So I do know that this Athena does appear occasionally, but usually it's the other Athena.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, regardless of what Japan thought, what did we think? Is this game good enough for our viewers to go out and find a copy and play because they'll find some kind of enjoyment of it? or is it a game that they should stray away from? If they're curious, watch Brossentia speedrun. They should do that anyways, but they don't have to play the game for nostalgia or any other kind of value. Let's just allow our guests to go first. Brossentia, what do you think, and do you give this game your vote for New Game Plus status?
I would say that this game is an experience. If you've never really played a game that has been absolutely terrible, it's a really good game to get into. I feel like that's really valuable, though.
Yeah,
because
sure.
We have good games, we have mediocre games, but when you have a game that absolutely is painful, it for me it's a huge accomplishment to be able to get through and beat one of those crappy games. And
absolutely.
So I would say that it may be worth it if you really want to see how bad Nintendo games can get. Go ahead and play it, but otherwise, I'd say it pretty much has no value.
All right, fair enough. So that's one no. By the way, it's got to have the majority majority vote to receive New Game Plus status. Let's just go down the line. Kenny, you want to offer your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've tried to be real positive about this game. I always do, and look for the intriguing things. And I still think that there's tons of potential here, but the game is so weird. It doesn't really feel like an NES title. It doesn't really feel like an arcade title. It doesn't really feel like a platformer, though it is. It doesn't really feel like an RPG. It's just a really confused game, and it makes playing it really confusing, and then is just awkward on top of that. And so, though I have argued lots of times from that exact same argument that Brossentia just made of this game is so bad it needs to be experienced, or it's iconically bad and go check it out because you'll be glad you did for that sake, I can't even get behind that argument on this one. It's fun to know that it exists and about it, and definitely hop online and watch somebody else that's better than you are play it, and then you'll think it's easy and think we're wrong. But if you play this game, you're gonna just be frustrated, and that's not something I'm looking for most of the time in my game. So no New Game Plus status for me.
Nolan.
No. I'll just say that it's I think it's a game no one knows about for a reason, and it probably should not be played by someone who plays games today. So sorry.
All right, somewhat fair. I think a lot of people know about it, just we didn't know about it, and the people in Japan know about it. All right. I would be a mean person if I convinced any of you to play this game because, hey, it's a great game and you'll enjoy it. I don't think any of us would say that or go that far. I honestly do think that it has some charm, like I mentioned earlier. It's not Bible Adventures, which Brossentia, I know you speedrun that one too.
Got the Baby Moses world record.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We played that game on our podcast.
We played that game on our podcast, and it doesn't have charm. I mean, it's
awkward.
Wait, that game doesn't have charm? You can throw Baby Moses in the water.
You can, and even isn't that a part of the speedrunning strategy?
Stack your animals.
Well, you can glitch yourself through the river and just run through it. But yeah,
that's less fun.
I think that Athena, on the other hand, has character, has individuality, but mechanically and structurally, it's just rough. And I gotta agree with these other guys that it's not a game that I would encourage you to play. I would encourage you, however, to go and find either on YouTube or Twitch, YouTube especially. If you type in Brossentia Athena speedrun, you're gonna find at least one, if not multiple, tries of Brossentia going through this game extremely fast. And I've watched some of it. I wanted to reserve the rest of my viewing for post gameplay and post podcast, so that it wouldn't skew my thoughts and my experience this week. But go and find that and watch that because it's promised to be super entertaining and interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely an intriguing game to speedrun. It may not be an intriguing game for a general audience and to go play, but I think it's a super fun one and super neat that you got hooked on beating it and were able to do that. It's a cool accomplishment. And now that all our viewers know just how difficult and frustrating this game is, when they see you load up and beat the whole game in just over 22 minutes flat and make it look really easy. But then they know, without having experienced themselves, just how frustrating it could have been to not do it at that level. Just makes it really, really super impressive. So
yeah,
definitely go check that out.
There's a lot of knowledge that goes into learning a game and how to get through it. And
Sure.
I think that once you learn the mechanics and how things work, it becomes a lot easier. But yeah, try playing it the first time and then just say, never mind.
But then you realize it's a really steep learning curve, and that they don't hold your hand, and that you're just, either looking up guides or bashing your face into it repeatedly for a year, in your case, and it just blah.
Yeah. Well, we did have a few of our viewers play along with us this week, and they sent in their thoughts and commentary. A few of them emailed us at ngppodcast@gmail.com. Jan said, "Hi NGP, hi Brossentia. This game is weird. It's quite buggy or badly executed, or both. At first, I thought it would be fun to try to beat it, but I kept dying, and all the quirks started to annoy me. Early in the game, you get the golf club from a baddie, and when you swing near enemies with that thing, they die when you're still just a few pixels away from them. You can collect some gear in the first levels, and after a while, you can shoot lasers from your eyes. Sometimes you do a low jump, sometimes a high jump. All kinds of weird stuff. I wanted to see if the original arcade version was better. It's just as bad. I read somewhere that Brossentia finishes lots of bad games. If that is the case, I admire your perseverance."
Thanks for sending us thoughts.
This is one of the worst games that I've... I don't know if it would be No, I don't know.
If you had to say, because you've been one who speedruns games and games that are notoriously bad, if there was one game that you had to say was the worst video game you've ever played, what would it be?
Oh, geez. It would probably be a bootleg game on the Super 15-in-1 cart, either Pink Jelly or Hummer, which is a Sonic bootleg game.
Yes. Be right back. I'm going to Google that.
Yeah, Pink Jelly is really, really boring. Don't even look at it. But Hummer for the Nintendo. Yeah.
Hummer.
And it's a Sonic ripoff?
It's a Sonic ripoff, yeah.
I would love to see that.
And they tried to make this mascot. I don't know why. This Chinese company tried to make a mascot, and it's this bull character named Hummer. I don't know.
Anytime companies are like, let's make something really iconic, and it's going to be our franchise, it always goes terribly.
The noise.
Yeah, and when a bootleg company does that,
right,
it's even better.
It's just multiplied times awfulness.
Bradley, one of our producers, sent another email. First off, I have to say GG to Brossentia. I knew he wouldn't have offered to buy me a Steam game for beating Athena if there was a snowball's chance in the world of hell of actually beating it blind.
Yeah.
I gave it my best shot, though, and made it through the world of Sky before my patience ran out. But anyways, this game sucks. The mechanics just seem broken at many points. Like, why don't I do any damage when the enemies are too close to me? I probably don't have much to say that hasn't already been said. So what I will say is, why do the merman enemies in the world of sea drop bows and arrows? They're underwater, and they don't even use bows and arrows themselves. I feel like the devs were trolling when they made that level because they knew that you couldn't use the bows to break the blocks and progress. Maybe they were just trolling when they were making this whole game. I had fun trying to beat the game for a challenge, but if Brossentia hadn't issued the challenge to me, I know I wouldn't have made it through the first stage because the game itself just isn't fun at all. It's challenging, but in all the wrong ways. Looking forward to hopefully playing a better game next week.
Brossentia, I saw this conversation happening, and you wouldn't have offered that if you were just confident. You knew he wouldn't get past that, did you?
Well, I said he needed to get past the world of hell without a guide,
right?
Which is technically possible.
Technically.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah,
but
and in a week's time...
I think you need longer than a week.
Yeah.
And
if you dedicated like your entire existence to figuring out the game and playing through it over a week, possibly. But beyond that...
Let me just say, my favorite thing is that I told him he could use save states. And the bad thing about that is that if you get to World of Hell and go through it and die once and then use a save state after, it becomes unwinnable. He would be trying over and over and over again.
So that save states are almost a trap in this case. Like, they can be a little bit of a crutch, but...
I think starting over with the game is usually easier than using a save state.
Wow.
Yeah, so Yeah, sorry. If you're listening to this, I did that just to troll you.
No, that's good. I would feel comfortable issuing the same challenge to someone with the same reward.
Sure.
Like if they're going to be honest enough and not use a guide and just kind of do it blind, I do not think that in a week they're going to do that. 99%, possibility that they would not be able to succeed in that. So
I love that Bradley tried, though. I think that's so funny.
Yeah.
I watched him.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit too. That was great.
Yeah. All right, one last email from our other producer, Zion. He said, just finished my last run at this game, and I'm done. I could not finish, so I just watched a playthrough. It's much easier that way. The game was not bad, but it was hard and repetitive. The playthrough made it look easy, but it is not easy. I played this game when I was younger, but it just didn't have the appeal that I needed. I did enjoy Dustin's first play. One thing I really enjoy also is the Discord. The other fans of the podcast are a great bunch of people to get to know. Which, yeah, I guess that's two things that we didn't mention. I did a first play this week that's up on our YouTube channel that you'll be able to find the link to in our social media sites. Just kind of a first, I think it was 7 or 8 minutes of my experience with Athena. And then also our Discord channel.
Yes, which
Yeah, so
is...
we
Yeah,
love
that
connecting
first play
with-
was really funny, by the way, because you just look confused the whole time. It's like, what is even going on?
the
that
thought process.
look never faded. I mean, that's how I played the game.
Yeah, just so. And Zion's right. We love connecting with you guys throughout the week. And so those of you who listen and email us, or listen and play along, or listen and hop on our Discord channel and connect with us, however you interact, we definitely appreciate it. But love hearing from you guys. And as always, send us new game suggestions. We love expanding that list. Send us emails as you're playing along. Hit us up in Discord, and we'd love to connect with you guys throughout the week as we play these games.
Yeah. Our social media sites, Facebook and Twitter, are just /NGP Podcast. You can listen to us directly on Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Music, any other podcast provider. Make sure that you are subscribed on whatever you're listening to us on so that you can be the first to get NGP episodes. And if you'd like some behind-the-scenes action, if you would like to get some of our extra bonus content early, then you can always visit and support us on patreon.com/NGP podcast, and then our Discord, as we've already mentioned. All of those links can be found through our social media. And but other than that, it's our time to randomize a new game.
Yikes.
So at the end of each episode, we randomly select our new retro game that we're going to be playing from our retro master list, which this is incomplete. And Brossentia, do you have, we typically ask this, is there a game, you don't have to look at the list now, but a game that you think is that we should play as a part of this podcast because it's either good or terrible, that is 15 years old or older, any system? What's a game that comes to mind?
Someone actually brought it up in chat. This is a game that is bad. It was made by Bethesda back in the 80s, and it's called Home Alone. But I feel like this, compared to Athena, where it was miserable, I feel like Home Alone overall ends up being a positive experience. So I would recommend Home Alone for the NES.
And this
Now,
is
is
not
this-
the one based off of a movie?
It is based off of the movie. I guess this wouldn't spoil it too much. You have to survive a certain amount of time without getting caught.
Okay.
Okay.
We played a Home Alone.
played a Home Alone game. I don't know if it's that one.
It's not the same
and
one. No.
I don't think it is.
We played Home Alone 2.
You're just in Kevin McAllister's house trying to get away from the wet bandits. That's the main point.
Okay.
And
Different than
I
the one we
really enjoy it. It's bad, but it's enjoyable bad.
We'll add it.
Interesting.
Awesome. Yeah,
We'll add it. We'll add it to the list. And in the meantime, we will randomly select our next game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days. And it is
Crossing my fingers. This always scares me.
a 1997 title for the Nintendo 64.
I like it.
It is a snowboarding video game called Snowboard Kids.
I love this
take it back.
game.
I've never
Take
played
it
it.
back.
Love
I've
this
never
game.
played it either.
There was huge hype around snowboarding games back in the day, like Nintendo 64 era, and I never got into it. We'll have to see if this one can convince me, but
Even back in the day, Mary-Kate and Ashley had a video game that had snowboarding in it.
Which
yeah,
we
I
should
know.
add.
I would know that.
We're
but-
adding that to the list.
We're adding that to the list.
Okay, Mary-Kate and Ashley Magical Mystery Mall. That's all you need to know for PS1.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But in the meantime, we're going to be playing Snowboard Kids, so find a copy and play with us this week. Brossentia, how can our viewers keep up with all that you're doing? What games are you playing right now? What's your social media sites? Just let them know a little bit about that.
Sounds good. I'm on Twitter. If you look up Brossentia, you'll find me. I post regularly there. I also stream at twitch.tv/Brossentia. Right now, well, later today, I do a bad video game tournament. I'm putting, I match people up against each other to blind race through a game that they never played before. And
Very
so,
fun.
I've got about 6 hours of that going on later today. So follow me at twitch.tv/Brossentia. I'm also speedrunning Little Nemo the Dream Master, which is a super good game for the Nintendo.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's legit one of my favorite games from my childhood.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome. We gotta
Add
add
it
that
to
one
your
the
list,
as
okay?
well.
Add it to your list. It's so good.
Will do.
The music, the gameplay, yeah, fantastic.
Love it. Love it. Well, make sure, guys, that you find and follow Brossentia. Thank him for coming on the show, because we really are so thankful that you took some time out of your morning to come and join us to talk about this special game.
Special.
Dude,
We appreciate it.
it's been great. It's been great.
We want to give a special thanks to our two producers, Bradley and Zion. You guys played along with us this week. You hung out with us in our Discord channel, as well as you just support us and make everything that we do possible, as well as all of our other patrons. Guys, thank you so much. Everyone join us next week as we play Snowboard Kids. Until then, I'm still Dustin.
I'm Kenny.
I'm Nolan.
And that's Brossentia.
Yeah, Brossentia.
And this has been New Game Plus.
See you guys.